Hi guys, if you're starting an AI automations business, you need to avoid these mistakes. When I first started, I made so many that could have just killed my business before it even started. So I'm going to cover the biggest mistakes that I made and how you can avoid them to help you scale a lot quicker. I'm going to be talking about how you should not be overcomplicating things, the types of emails that you should be sending out, mistakes I made with my pricing, the mistakes I made when giving out free trials, how you can understand cold email deliverability better, the offer I was making and the email copy that went with that, the mistakes I made around setting clear client boundaries, why I was hesitant to invest in my own business, how I overanalyzed everything, and other little tips and tricks that should help you. So by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how to talk like Keir Starmer does. You know exactly how to start and scale your automations agency and make it profitable right away. So let's dive in. So a quick disclaimer, this is exactly why I didn't say the top mistakes everyone makes, because funnily enough, I'm not everyone. I can't speak for everyone. I can only speak on the experience that I've had and maybe common issues that other people have had that I could potentially help with. But really and truly, I'm just going to be speaking on the mistakes that I made. For everyone else, they'll be different. For you, the mistakes you'll make will be different. But to be honest, the mistakes is what helped me learn a lot quicker. Yes, maybe I spent a lot of time doing things that I probably shouldn't have been doing, looking back on hindsight, but I'm a big believer in failing to learn, not learning to fail. So these are the mistakes that I've made that you should avoid, as they could really hurt your business. Which I think will be helpful. And thanks to the person that commented, asking for this video. This one's for you. Number one, overcomplicating. So for me, it was the tech stack. I spent a lot of time finding the perfect cold emailing setup. So I remember setting up Amazon SES for about a week. It was a really complex automation, to be fair. And there was actually a bit of coding involved, only for me to then get rejected for Amazon SES because I told them that I was going to be cold emailing, which they don't accept. So I spent ages creating this whole automation that I thought would be perfect. And then when it came to doing the most simple thing that I should have probably started with, which was actually applying to use Amazon SES, I got rejected. So it was a complete waste of a whole week. I've done similar with Spark Post, and I've been trying to find a really good emailing tool or emailing infrastructure. So I went to MailScale, if you've heard of them, but just wasn't it. I was really unhappy with them. So I've settled on the one that I use now, which you guys have probably seen. I've done a couple videos on, which is my cold emailing infrastructure, which works incredibly. I'm very happy with it. I had shiny object syndrome, so I was just jumping from tool to tool. For example, Amazon SES, Spark Post, MailScale, Make, Zapier, NA10, just kept jumping instead of just honing in on one and focusing on, for example, the automation platform. I should have just focused on Make, which is what I ended up doing, but I was just jumping around even before NA10 is so popular like it is now. So if I were you, I'd recommend, especially if you're new, learning on make.com and then transitioning to NA10. Because make.com is much more user-friendly. It has a much more prettier UI. It's easier to learn off. And then you should transition to NA10. Test everything on a small scale, especially if you're using make.com. Don't just build an automation and jump into testing it straight away. Maybe just right-click and run that module once. And just test it back to front or front to back, just because you can just waste a load of operations. I've had times where I've had scenarios where data goes through one by one using one operation, and then we'll send 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 bits of data to another scenario which personalizes an email, for example. And there's times where I've run it, 2,000 bits of data and 2,000 operations would get used to send it to the webhook, but then the webhook wasn't even working. So I've just wasted 2,000 operations. I remember doing that quite a lot. It took me a while to learn that mistake. So I'd recommend just testing small and then once you're happy with the testing, just send little bits of data, not your whole workflow. And just stick with one, and CI/CD, which is continuously improve and continuously develop. So improve your skills and develop your skills. This is a hindsight mistake, right? And we're all going to make mistakes and look back in hindsight and think, I should have done this. So this is something that I've looked back and thought, why didn't I just do this a bit better or do this a bit earlier? Which I think you guys should do now. Cold email was my favorite way to get clients, even though sometimes it was tough and stressful and it wouldn't go the way I wanted it to go. I could see potential there. I was getting a lot of, especially early on in my campaigns, I was getting a lot of replies, but then maybe 2-3 days later, it would all drop off. But I could see it because of my lack of knowledge in email and cold email deliverability. So early on, the first 2 or 3 days, I could see a lot of potential because I was getting replies. And I was getting some good results with the one-lined icebreaker, which is what I was using straight away. But then everyone started using it and instantly had their own AI prompt where they would use the deliverability, the custom variables to create a one-lined icebreaker. Everyone started using it and it just led to becoming less and less effective. And I was using Perplexity in other scenarios, but for some reason it never came across my mind to include it in my cold emailing one. And it's just so obvious when you look back. Why would you not research a prospect and create a whole email that's ultra personalized to that person and send them out at scale? It makes a whole lot more sense, not just for your reply rates, because more people are more inclined to reply to something that's hyper personalized and they feel as someone's taken the time out of their day to actually type it out and send an email specifically for them. It's also going to help your deliverability because every email is different to different people. It's not like you actually are sending out cold emails. Well, obviously you are, but they're a bit warmer because you've researched the prospect, or at least AI has. So I should have done it from day dot. I don't know if that's an American saying, but day one. Improved deliverability, it improved my responses, and it's also easier to sell because, as you guys know, I pitch my service. The first thing I pitch is the cold emailing system, because who doesn't want more leads? Which B2B company doesn't want more business? So a lot of people could just see the effectiveness of it and would want to get on a call straight away to learn more about it. So that made it a lot easier to sell because people saw it firsthand. I didn't have to give them a demo or anything. So AI is less for writing and more for researching, but if you prompt correctly, it is great for writing too. Pricing, I've just done a video on this as well a couple of days ago. I hope you guys took a lot on board from that. But at the start, and I'm sure you guys are in a similar position, I did not have a clue about pricing. I got more competent and confident in the building of the automations, but I still wasn't sure where I stood with pricing. When I wasn't confident in my ability to actually build the automations, my confidence in actually asking for money, because I've always been in sales, I know how to sell. And it's the hardest part of the sales process is actually asking for the payment. You feel awkward doing it. I don't know what it's like in the US, but us Brits can be overly polite at times and feel quite awkward asking for money, which it shouldn't be like. So added on to this awkwardness for asking for money, add on the fact that I didn't really feel confident in the fact that I could actually build these scenarios. I was awful on these calls, and I don't want to blow my own trumpet, but I'm pretty good when it gets to speaking to clients or potential clients and prospects, right? So what I tried to do is I ended up emailing a load of people or putting in a load of forms on companies' websites with lead gen companies and also automation companies all over the world. In America, Australia, there were quite a few, which helped a little. I'd pretend I was with another company and pretend I was interested in automation or interested in using their lead gen services to understand their pricing. It did help a little because it sort of gave me some idea of where I should be pricing it and also giving me an idea of how to run demo calls for these sort of things. So I definitely recommend that, especially if you're currently working for a company. just while you're working from home, on your day you work from home, if you haven't actually quit your job yet to start this, use that email to say, oh, look, my sales director or whatever company it is you're in, my manager, my boss has asked me to get in touch because we're potentially looking at some options here. And you can leverage your work email to actually get on demos with people that have been doing this a long time, which should help you. So I ended up testing the water with high pricing, but I wasn't competent enough in actually building the systems yet to know that, I wasn't confident in asking for that money is what I'm trying to say. So I tested the water with high pricing, and also because I worked in a managed service provider, I could see how much my company that I worked for was selling these automations for. So I thought, oh, bloody hell, I can sell it for this amount as well. And it just didn't go down well. Didn't get any clients from asking for high pricing. So I went to low pricing. And actually my first client, his reply was, mate, that is too cheap. I ended up doing so much work for it as well. It certainly was not worth the money, but it was worth the time and experience to understand. I learned a lot from that first client, and you will from your first client. So I think maybe my advice would be to go cheaper than you probably should, just to get that first client in. I've said it before, because the valuability, if that's a word, beyond the money that you're going to get is sky high. So the motivation, the belief and everything in yourself, and what you learn in terms of client handover, building the system, not going over the top with everything, what they've paid for, they get. Don't start when they start asking, because they will. They'll start asking for extras and this and that, and you'll end up spending 10 more hours than you should for free. Don't do that. They'll take advantage of you at any point they can. And then once I got my first client in, I never sold an automation for less than £2,500 after that, unless special exceptions. This is a good one, by the way. This is people who, here's a little tip and hack for you again. People come back on a cold email and say, the ones that don't say stop emailing me, the ones that are a bit more polite, and they say, oh, no thanks, we're not interested. We get loads of cold emails like this. Or there's some people that set up auto replies because they've been spammed so much. They actually bin that and create a new email account for the person. So it's always forwarded on to someone. So you could actually reply to that saying, I could actually set you up with a cold email replier, like you have done, an auto reply, instead of having to move this person onto a new account. What I can do is get AI to determine whether it's a cold email or not, and just move that to your junk. So your inbox is free of cold emails. How would that sound? Yeah, well, we need this. Obviously, there's a need for it straight away, because they have expressed to you that they're getting annoyed with cold emails. You'll see this in your replies. So I've actually sold this for like 500 quid. AI will determine whether that is a cold email and move it to their junk. It's pretty cool. The next one's free trials. I will do a separate video on this, because especially when you're starting out, you're going to want to give away a lot of stuff for free. I put it in quotations because I don't think you should be spending your own money on someone else, because these systems aren't necessarily cheap, especially if you're integrating things like Perplexity AI. It's like $5 per 1,000 searches, and maybe you want to do a $5,000 search for someone. That's $25. It's not a lot, but you don't want to be putting your own money into it, on top of the operations that it's going to cost you to create the emails for them that you're going to be sending out on their behalf as a free trial. But you want them to reach out to enough leads to actually see the value in it and buy this thing off you for $5,000 later down the line. So I gave a lot of free trials away, and I ended up paying for them. So if it's a deal breaker that you pay for it, I think just say no. Just say no. I'm not paying for the thing, because a lot of people will take the mick. They will, you offer them a free trial. That's the only reason they've actually replied, is because you said free leads, and they have no interest in actually buying this system off you or using it other than for free. So just say no is my advice. I was the admin of the account. So we set it up on their make.com account and they put me as an admin. Excuse me. But them being the lead account, they could just remove me at any time. One thing I have found out is that these people aren't really technical. Even when it comes to make.com, they don't really know how to remove you. The same as if you build the system on their account, they don't really know how to modify it or stuff like that, which makes sense. Of course they don't. But me giving these people, or them giving me admin access so I could build the automations on their account, gave me a lot of anxiety, because I thought, okay, even if these are the slightest bit technically minded, they could actually rob this whole scenario or automation once I've finished with it and do one, lock me out of the account, and that's it. They've got this automation for absolutely free and I've spent a couple hours building it. So I remember, I'd go on holiday and stuff away. I went away for New Year's Eve and I had like 3 people on free trials, and I thought, oh my God, I'm going to come back in the new year and and have probably 20 to 30 grand's worth of automations robbed from me for free. So I think if you build something valuable, keep it valuable, protect it and protect your role within it. So the way I'd mitigate that risk is, the main thing I'd just do is set up a contract before giving away a free trial. So yeah, just a piece of paper, well, electronic piece of paper, saying that the ownership, the liability is with basically your company. You own the automation. This is a free trial. It's going to last X amount, 7 days, 2 weeks. The cost of the free trial, I've put lol because the cost of the free trial doesn't really make sense, is £200. It's not going to be a lot, $300, something like that. Just cover the cost. That's it. You don't need to make any profit. This is just covering the cost. You don't want to be spending it. Imagine you get 5 people on free trials. That's $1,000 of your own money. Yes, maybe 2 or 3 will end up becoming paying customers, but you still run the risk of having no paid customers. And always set it up through the app that I've told you to set it up through. Always set it up for it and give them the app, give them the URL. It's a really funny name. It's like, I don't know, Bolt will always give you a weird name like Unicorn Snatcher. I don't know. And that way you can pull the plug at any time, especially if they're not technically minded. The only way to start that automation is through the trigger from the webhook, which they'll input into the app. So just deploy it, give them the URL, and don't set it up on their website, which is what you'd normally do if you were, once they become a paying customer, you'd have their website / automation, whatever it is, to trigger the flow. But in this scenario, just give them the URL. Don't even really show them the back end, just show them the front end. But I will go into more depth with this at one point. Let me know in the comments if you would like me to go over this more or if that's enough. Understanding deliverability, I really recommend taking the time. I've done I've done one video on it. I'll do some more on it because I really do think it's important. It's literally the way to scale your business. You can do it other ways, but I think this is just the perfect way. Especially with the tools that you have at your disposal to really scale your business really quickly. So I wasn't warming up correctly. You hear a lot of people say 2 weeks. I really don't think that's long enough. I think you might deliver for a week and then it will go downhill. To keep your deliverability up throughout the whole campaign, warm up for 3 weeks at a minimum. I know it's a long time, but in the meantime, you can really be honing in your skills on make.com, or you can start learning NA10. Whatever it is, but just take the time to learn deliverability, and you can 20-minute video, write a lot of notes, and you'll know quite a lot already. I was using very basic personalization or no personalization with no spin tax. So I was just sending the same email out to a couple thousand people or a few hundred people. So there's another mistake I made, which I haven't added into here, is volume of emails. I'd recommend sending a lot of emails, 10,000 or 5 to 10,000 or 5,000 plus, let's just say. That's a mistake I made, is that I only sent it to a few hundred people. As long as you understand deliverability and you understand cold email and you think you've got a great offer, then and only then send out to a load of people. I also sent all emails out within a few minutes of each other, and people say, and Instantly says it itself, it has 7 minutes in the settings of Instantly. Don't go with that. What you should do is work out how many emails you're going to be sending a day. So you can do that by knowing how many emails each email account sends out per day. So say you've got 10 domains, that's 30 email accounts sending out 20 emails a day. What's that, 600 emails a day? I don't know. So you do 6, if you're sending between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m, work out that amount of hours. Just give it to ChatGPT, because my maths is crap. If you're good at maths, then do it yourself. Work out that, how many hours, how many emails you can be sending a day, and split it by that many minutes. It might work out at about 25 to 30 minutes. Or if you're sending a lot of emails, it'll be a shorter space. But make sure, the longer the better, really. The longer the better in terms of how long in between emails. So like I say, just work it out and it should really help you. I was using a lot of spam words: guarantee, risk-free, 100%, stuff like that. So what you want to do is go on Mail Meteor, type in your email, and it will give you a score, and just basically take out any words that you can, but then make sure it doesn't sound robotic. Yeah, because it's hard to, just go on the thesaurus and type in guarantee and find a word that you can use instead of that. Put a space in between the pound sign and the number if you're including a value in your email, because if you put it together, it shows as a number and you'll get flagged as spam. But if you actually put a space in between the pound sign and the number, it doesn't get flagged. Do inbox placement tests. So you can use Instantly. You can pay another $47 a month and get unlimited one-time inbox placement tests. You can spend another $97 a month and you'll get automated tests, which is great. It's just a shame that it costs so much, but automated tests is fantastic. You can literally do it daily. Find out which emails and maybe which domains are dropping off a bit in terms of deliverability, and rotate your domains yourself. If you've got the money, yeah, do that. Otherwise, $47 is still all right to do your own inbox placement tests every day or every couple of days. Or you can go on the likes of Email Guard, but it only allows you to send to 6 mailboxes, which isn't the best. Same with Glock apps. So just play around, see what costs are which, and you need to understand deliverability and take it really seriously, because it's going to be the backbone of your business to start out with. If you're going to copy exactly what I do, cold email is great. So I think you're best off really, really nailing down on it and understand what works and what doesn't. And because the worst thing ever is sending out an email or sending out a campaign, and then 2 weeks in or a few days in, your reply rate stops and you're thinking, what's going on? And you figure out everything's landing in spam. It's so annoying. So you really want to understand it. Take the time to understand it. And so when you send out your first campaign, it's spot on from the start. And this will obviously directly impact how quickly you can scale. You can actually scale. You can get 5 clients a month in your first month, without a doubt. And then your second month, you could get 10. And your third month, you can get 15 after you've got those clients in, you've gathered that belief and competence and confidence in yourself. I talk about competence and confidence a lot. But yeah, I really believe in self-motivation, discipline and belief. So my offer on my email copy, which I touched on there, but I was offering AI and automation as a whole. That was my offer. I can automate your processes. No one has a clue. No one knew what I was on about. So people weren't really replying, and my deliverability was tanking. My emails were long. You should see my first emails. It'd be funny if I could get an example of them. It was an essay, because I've been in sales and that's what I thought it had to be like. Didn't understand cold emailing. I just thought I could send, couple 2 to 3 sentences per paragraph. You can't 1 sentence. 2 maximum. Mine were an essay. It's funny. And my offer was, can I send you 23 leads? And everyone like, yeah, okay. And then I'd use the system, put them into a Google Sheet, send them over, and never hear off them again. That was my no-brainer offer, 23 leads. But I didn't know about no-brainer offers, to be fair. I just knew about offer. I didn't research enough, and that's what I mean. You've got to do your research, which is what you guys are doing. You can literally learn in 20 minutes now. You go on Instantly YouTube, you can learn about them. I talk about cold emailing a little bit. You can learn off me. And then I heard about no-brainer offers and everything changed. I got a lot more excited about my campaigns. I was literally giving everything away for free and I was getting a lot of replies, and that's where I got my clients in. And if you get your offer right and then do what I discussed before about free trials, you'll be flying. Yeah. Oh, this is a big one. Not setting clear client boundaries. I know when you'll get your first client in, you'll be like, yeah, I can do this, I can do that, yeah. And they'll get on your phone and you say, oh no. They'll go, no, I'm being annoying, but is there any chance we could do this or do that? This is what is so important about a discovery call, or at least a project handover. You said you wanted this. Is that right? Is there anything else you want? Is there anything else you can think of? And they say no. You say, fine, I'll create this automation for you, but I guarantee they'll come back to you and go, can I change this? Can I change that? You change one thing, you'll suddenly be changing 10, 15 things, and you're spending all weekend on it, and your missus will be going, what are you doing? You sold this thing for 500 quid, for 750 quid, and you're spending so much time on it. You're not spending time with me. And you'll be like, shut up. I'm joking. Never do that. I should probably delete that out. No, they'll, right. So yeah, you got to set clear client boundaries. So I had one client that tried to bypass the app, which made me a bit nervous because I was thinking, is he trying to get clever? Because I think there was one scenario before the Appify scraper. The first scenario would run the scraper, but also that was the trigger for the automation he'd input into the app. The trigger would start. I'd have a data store which would store the stuff he put into the app, and that would run the task in Appify, which was an Apollo scraper. And he tried to just run it from Appify, go into Appify and run it from there. But the system cleverly was designed to pull and process data in a very structured manner. So if it wasn't done through the app, it would break the whole automation. So then I had to send a video, really, it took a whole 5 minutes really explaining what I've just told you there, that this automation is designed to pull and process data from a really structured way. Any change in that process and structure, you're going to break the whole automation. I'm going to have to fix it. You're going to waste a load of leads as well because you've done a scrape that you can't actually get. And I had another change in, this was funny. This company were changing the headers in a Google Sheets, right? So leads would get added into a Google Sheets with specific headers, but it was done through a bulk API call, meaning it would do like 500 at a time or 600-700 at a time. But it would fill the columns that I had already set up for them with the specific headers. So he changed the headers, added some in, took some out, stuff like that, and then moaned at me when the data wasn't going in the right place. Before we had the email column, and obviously emails were getting changed in there, and then he moved the email column one right, and suddenly the title description, or I don't know, the SEO description were getting put in the email column and something else was going elsewhere. And then he moaned at me. So I just said, you've changed the columns, haven't you, sir? Very politely, obviously. But they'll you got to make them understand the automation. You have got to do that because they've got to understand that if they try to input the data or trigger the automation in a way that is not meant to be triggered, it will break, most likely. And they want extras for free. So you've quoted them the work, you've done the work, they've paid. That is it. Don't be running around, can we change this? Can we change that? Can we update this? If it's a small change, maybe. But the reason I'd say no is because once you've done that small thing, suddenly they expect you to do more. Maybe you do it as a gesture of goodwill and you make it clear to them that it is a gesture of goodwill. Like, yeah, I can do this as a one-off. You know what I mean? And emphasize the one-off. And send Loom videos explaining how to run the system, not just how it works, but how to run it. And that's all they need to focus on. I've had ones who get really interested, which is fine. It's great. I like how they're interested in my automations that I build them, but they get a bit too interested and they start poking around on all the different modules and stuff, and something will break. They might get rid of a filter somewhere or something like that. You don't need to worry about the back end. That's why I've made you this fantastic front end app I've coded myself and took me a whole day to make for you. Not 2 minutes at all. And they go ahead and bypass that app and try poking around and it breaks the automation. So just set clear rules for how they should use the system. Oh, this was a big one. So this is another real personal one. I was very hesitant to invest, as any human being would be, right? You started this business, you maybe put a couple £100 into it and you're excited to see where it goes. You might be getting a few interested replies from maybe 500 emails. If you haven't listened to my advice, you're only sending 500 emails. And you think, oh my God, this is going to work. I could actually do this. I'm going to quit my job or whatever. But then you've got a few grand sitting in savings maybe. Some people aren't that lucky. I get that. But you know what? I genuinely think going to a bank, asking for a loan isn't a bad idea. Listen to maybe Rich Dad Poor Dad, whatever his name is. I don't know his name. Talk about getting into debt. Debt is good. Listen to a lot of business owners who are very successful and how they've got into debt to really grow their business, and they think leveraging money is great. What's so wrong about that? If it goes wrong, it goes wrong. What's the worst that can happen? But if you don't have the money yourself to invest, why don't you leverage someone else's money, the bank's money? Put a few grand into it and scale it. Take it from me. This works. This isn't saturated. All I'd say is maybe learn sales skills before you do this, so you're confident on the calls and make sure your skills are good enough. But if you need to send 10,000 emails out to get just one client and it's going to cost you £1,000, go leverage the bank's money. Invest in yourself, invest in your business so you can scale it a lot quicker. Pay back the money and then you've got a bit of money there to invest in your business. Keep investing. You're selling high ticket services, so don't be afraid to invest. I could have grown a lot quicker if I invested a lot quicker. So it says here, so one day I just put 4K in. I put 4K into of my own savings into a business account, and I made that back within a month. I doubled it, tripled it within a month. Due to the amount of emails I was able to send. But this is where it goes back to understanding email deliverability and stuff like that, because it could be a waste of money. You don't want it to be a waste of money. Understand your offer, understand your email, understand what impacts landing in the inbox. And then I really, really advise investing in the business and then investing in yourself. So invest in some sales skills. And that is the main reason I've been able to scale so quickly. I'm lucky. I'm 26, right? I've only just turned 26. I do know how to sell. I've been doing it since I was 20, right? I've done face-to-face, door-to-door, B2B, and most recently B2B for the last 3 years or so. I know what make people tick. I know how to sell high-ticket services. That's what's really helped me. And that's, if I'm going to be truthful, might differentiate me from maybe someone a bit younger and a bit less experienced. So what you want to go do is go read a load of books, go on YouTube, look at Jeremy Minor in the US, look at David Angel in the UK, Alex Hormozy probably has some stuff, Andy Elliott, and just find out what style suits you. So for me, it's the more consultative based and trusted advisor based selling, which is Jeremy Minor and David Angel. But if you want to be if you feel like you're a bit more of the alpha and you think you can take control of conversations a lot better, then go look at Andy Elliott. And I think that will really help you in terms of sales skills. Don't go buy a course from them though. They're good at what they do, which is why they might, if you ask for some free resource, they've got your data, they might email, they'll probably give you a call. They are good. Maybe just take the phone call. Maybe do that. That's a good idea. go onto their websites, Jeremy Miner, Andy Elliott, David Angel. Wherever it is, put in some free, put in your data, put in an email address and phone number. They will give you a call. Take notes as they're calling you. Know in your head that you're not gonna invest and spend 4 or 5 grand on them, whatever it is, to become better at sales. You don't need it. You don't need that. Just write down the notes, record the conversation, understand their tonality, understand what it is they're sort of saying and how they're saying it, the way they say it, and learn that way. I think that's a really good idea. It's a good hack for you guys. YouTube, as you all know, I've just started. I've invested £800 into it. I've got a camera, a light, a microphone, like a capture card, stuff like that, right? I don't even know, overall it was £800. The camera itself was pretty much that. So it might even be a little bit more. But I've invested in that to help you guys, okay? And I'm investing a lot of my time into it as well. There's a time that, you guys know, I've only been doing the AI automation for 6-7 months now, and I'm busier than I ever have been. So finding time to do this is hard. It's tough. I've invested into it. I'm now invested into you guys. I'm helping you guys. I hope you can see the value in it. And I'm hoping to see the YouTube stuff pay off soon. I think building a personal brand is really important. And I'm loving it as well. It is really fun. So invest early in tools that are going to drive growth. That would be my advice. Analysis paralysis. That was another, I've talked about this on another video. This was another mistake I made. I was overanalyzing everything and I was trying to perfect things. The best companies, especially who sell software as a service, the ones who grow really, really quickly, they move fast and break stuff. For example, Monzo, Crew, this is banking, Monzo, Crew, Revolut. They have just Chase, I think. I don't know. I've only just seen them recently, so I don't know if they've been around for years. I don't know what they've been doing. But Monzo especially and Crew, these are businesses, softwares that have grown so quickly, and they're not perfect. All these banking apps, like MailScale, for example, is a software which is a cold email deliverability software. They're not perfect. That's why I wouldn't recommend you go with them. There's a lot of mistakes there, a lot of teething issues that they need to sort out pretty quickly. But they're £1 million a month SaaS company. They have moved so quick. They've broken stuff, and that's the best way to learn. And no one will be perfect at first. And that was I play a lot of golf, right? I've been doing it for 2 years now, and I've only ever had lessons. I've only ever had lessons because I want to know how to hit the ball. I want to know how to swing. I couldn't stand there and not really know what I'm doing. That's just not me. I've wanted to perfect it before I've actually started. But sometimes it's not the best way to be. I think with golf, probably you're best off getting some lessons and learning how to do it right. But that's what you guys are doing. You're watching me. You're learning how to do it right before you even start or while you're starting, right? And that's the best way to do it, just like golf. So launch it messy, improve it later. I don't mean messy. I still mean, you've got to understand what I've spoken about in this video, but you don't have to be perfect to start off. Cool, so there's 9. The person who requested this video wanted 5 or 7. So there you go, there's 2 extra ones, but these are the ones that just came to the top of my head. I did do a little bit of thinking. I had to think back to the mistakes I made, and these, I think, are the most important ones that I made that I am telling you not to make. And I think this will help you a lot. A lot of people on YouTube just say these are mistakes entrepreneurs make. How do they know? How do they know what mistakes other people make? I'm speaking from experience. This is what I've made. I'm telling you that you should not make these mistakes. But you will make mistakes, and that's the thing. Mistakes will happen, but that's how you learn. That's how you learn quick. You need to adapt and keep moving forward. Starting a business or an agency or whatever you want to call it, it is hard. If anyone's telling you it's easy, they're lying. It's hard, it's stressful, and it's messy. But I wouldn't have it any other way. I've never been happier. All right. Especially when I even started. I was so stressed out when I started. Things were just not going right, left, right, and center, but I loved it. I couldn't sleep and stuff like that. And I think that's how you should be. You should not sleep, just not because of stress, but because of excitement. When I was building automations that maybe took me 2 weeks to build that were so simple, for example, the scraping automation that I've built, which scrapes automatically while you're sleeping and then adds it all into a Google Sheets. That took me a long, that was one of the first automations I built. And that took me a long time to build. But you should see me when I've completed it. I was over the moon. I was so happy, and I just wanted to crack on to the next automation. And that automation now would take me half an hour to build, if that. But that's the mistakes you make that make you better. And that's why I don't really enjoy giving you guys the blueprints. I know you guys want them. That's fair enough. I'll give you the blueprints. That's fair enough. But I want you guys to learn how to build these things. And the best way to do it, by watching me build it and building it yourselves, and then maybe optimizing it further, thinking, hang on, I could do this better, building it better and making the mistakes while you're doing it. And I think that's just the best way to learn. I could just give you blueprints, but what fun is that? I'll still keep doing it, obviously. But my advice is, the best way to learn is to do it yourself. I've tried to share my experiences in this video, and I hope these will help you. But the truth is, you've got to go out and make those mistakes for yourself. I can only guide you on the mistakes that you don't need to make. Building systems, learning automation platforms, that's on you to fail and then try again. So I touched on it there with the lead scraping system, but I remember sitting at my laptop trying to build systems that I had no clue how to make. Systems that would now take me an hour used to take me a week, which is really interesting. You'll get there. Just believe in yourself. Don't let setbacks get you down. Keep your chin up and keep moving forward, which actually brings me on to my last slide. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the film Meet the Robinsons. I think it's a Disney film. But here's a quote from it. Around here, we don't look backwards for very long. We keep moving forward. You'll probably remember that is the main quote is keep moving forward. We keep moving forward, open up new doors and doing new things because we're curious, and curiosity keeps leading us down new paths. And I'll leave it there, guys. If you've enjoyed this one, please give it a like. Drop a comment. Let me know what you think, if this has helped you. And I'll see you in the next one, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.